Everyone, welcome to Lorem Lab. Let's create our first HTML web page. So what do we need to have before we start? We need to have a code editor. I personally prefer to use Sublime Text. You can go ahead to Google and type Sublime Text. You can download it for free. And of course, you're allowed to use whatever code editor that you would like to use. So what is HTML? It's an acronym for Hypertext Markup Language, and it's the standard language for web pages. We have something called the HTML elements, and these are the building blocks of HTML web pages. And these elements are represented by something that we call tags. I personally use W3 Schools as a reference to look up whatever element I'm looking for. We have a variety of tags. We have P to add paragraphs to our web page. We have the headings. We have H1 up to H6, and it depends on the sizes of the text that we would like to use. We can demonstrate this inside our code. So now let's start by writing down the structure of an HTML web page. The first thing is to define the document type. Then we can add the HTML opening and closure. Then we can have the head tag and the body section. So these are called tags, and inside each tag we can add something called attribute that adds more or provides more information to the web page. Like we can here put blank equals en. It tells the browser that the language of this HTML web page is English. We can make it FR for French, AR for Arabic, and so on. So what about the head and the body, and what's the difference? Usually the head tag contains all the scripts and all the styling sheets or the meta tags that we would like to include in our web page. And meta tags are usually used by search engines to optimize the search results if people are looking for your website on the internet. But we here can add a title tag inside the head and call it HTML 101. If we saved and go to the browser and refresh, this is the title of our web page. So now let's create the content inside this empty page. We would like to have some tables in our web page, so we can use the table tag. And inside the table tag we can have a header with a tag thead. We can have a body where we will put the content of this table, and we have default. So inside the header we want to have a row. This is tr, table row, and we need to have 3 cells. TD, it stands for the table cell. The first one has the ID, the second one has the name, and the third one has the nationality. And normally the tfoot contains the same content of the header, so let's just copy and paste it. And for the body we're gonna need 2 rows. The first one with ID 1, the name Alexa, and the nationality Switzerland. Now for the second row we need TD for ID 2, the name Sam, and the nationality French. Now let's save, go to the page. This is our table in a plain text. Now if we want to add some styles to this table, we might use an inline styling approach by adding the style attribute to the table. We can give it a width of 100%, so it's spread along the screen. We can give it a background color. Let's have it green. This is the background color. We might set the text color to be white. How the color changed to white. And we can also define another attribute called the border. Make it 2. Now we can see the borders between each and every cell. So back to the point of adding some styles to our web pages. This is one of the three approaches that you can use to add some styles to your web page. This is called the inline styling. We can also add uh, some styles inside a style tag inside the head tag. If we just copy this and remove it, we're back to the initial condition. Now we can here put table to have these styles. Now we have it. We can say, let's remove the background and the color. We can say table as a parent, and then the child t head, and then the cell itself has a text of font weight bold. Here we add some boldness to the header, and if we want to do the same thing for the footer, we might say again table tfoot td. We might give a different background color to the header and the footer. Let's give it a gray color in order to differentiate the columns and the cell names from the data. So this in a nutshell is one of the ways to have tables in our HTML web page. What if we want to add some headings? Let's say hello world. We have from H1 to H6, we will see the difference between each and every heading element. Save, go. It differs in the text size. So H1 is the bigger, H2 is smaller, H3 much smaller, H4 much smaller, H5 and then H6. What else? We can have links in our web pages. This is a link, but we have to give it an attribute called href, which is the destination where the user who clicks the link will be navigated to. Let's redirect the user to youtube.com. Here we got the link. If we clicked it, you will go to YouTube. Now going back, if we want to have the users redirected to YouTube in another tab, we can add some attribute called target with the value underscore blank. Refresh. Now YouTube is opened in a different tab. Another element that most of the websites, if not all the websites, have it nowadays is the image with the attribute src, which defines the source of the image, whether we load this image from our local machine or from the internet. And just one important thing that I would like to talk about, this closure tag. You might have noticed that for each and every tag that we have used, there is a closure tag similar to it, but with a preceding slash. Except for some elements like the image, it doesn't have to contain, there's nothing called a closure tag like this. It's a self-closure by just adding a slash at the end of the tag. So now let's go to the internet and get an image. We can right click here, copy the image location, put it here, go to our web page, refresh. We have the image here displayed. Now we want to add some attributes to make it smaller. Now we give it a width of 400. And of course we can still add some inline styles to this image. Two more elements that I would like to talk about, the unordered lists. We can add list items like first, second, third, save and refresh. Here we have an unordered list with a bullet items. We can also have the ordered list with list items 1, 2, 3. save and refresh. This is an ordered list. One more element, or actually two more elements. We will talk about the P, which is the paragraph. We can write whatever text that we would like to put inside. This is a dummy text to demonstrate paragraphs in HTML web pages. So this is our paragraph. We can add the style attribute to give it color red. We can increase the font size to be 30 pixels. Here's the size. Now comes the last thing that we will talk about in this video, which is the div. It's an acronym for div vision. And we can put whatever content that we would like to put inside this div. Let's say here, new offers. And below it we can add, don't miss our summer offers until August 2019. Now, this content is put inside a div, which you might think about it as a box. And we can have some inline styling here, but by adding a background color of blue. Here you can see the box. We can set the width to have 50% of the screen. We can set the color to be white. And you can notice that the text here is stuck to the edges of the box, so we can add a padding of 15 pixels. This will apply the padding vertically and horizontally. If we would like to have different paddings, we can start with the vertical padding. So we have vertical padding of 15 and horizontal of 20 pixels. This is the padding applied. Here we have 15 vertically and 20 horizontally. This is 15 and 20. And we can also add some roundicity to the edges of the box. We can say border radius 5px. Here we made it rounded corners for this box. So in this video we tried to demonstrate the usage of most of the famous elements in HTML, and throughout the next video we will see how to add some styles to our web pages. We will be building a login and registration forms. We will use CSS files with the approach of external styling to the web pages, and we will include our CSS files here using the link tab. And this link tag will contain the source of the CSS file and the type of the file, which is CSS. Thanks for watching.